So, Dad, how's it going? Better than I was at that age?
By far.
Oh, he's doing well. We still need to work on polishing a few skills here and there, though.
I need to get used to the pace of the expressway. I get nervous around all the traffic.
I did too. You'll be fine once you get some practice.
Yeah, we're going to head to the expressway now, and we'll practice a few things along the way.
All right, I'll let you go then. Good luck. Adam is approaching a curve, and it's important that he asks himself a few questions before he reaches the curve. Does it curve to the right or left? How sharp is the curve? Can I see the exit of the curve ahead? After asking himself these questions and checking traffic to the rear, he can determine the best speed and lane position in which to enter the curve. In most cases, it's best to enter a curve in lane position 3, or the right half of the lane. This allows the most space between your vehicle and any oncoming traffic. You must slow down upon entry of the curve by squeezing your brake. However, you should trail off the brake through the central part of the curve until the exit point. Your tires will have more traction on the road surface than if you brake all the way through the curve. Once you reach the exit point, or apex of the curve, you should accelerate lightly to pull the car through the curve. Always remember to look as far ahead into the curve as possible in order to see if anything is in your path of travel.
You're getting much better at handling these curves. Some of your sister's friends would misjudge the sharpness of curves and take them at speeds way too high. If you can't tell how sharp a curve is, just slow down. Assume the worst.
It's also a good idea to be in lane position 3 when you approach hills. In most cases, you have no idea what's on the other side of the hill ahead of you. Neither do oncoming drivers. Because of this, you should also reduce your speed as you approach the top of the hill. This will give you more time to respond to any obstructions that might be on the opposite side of the hill. When driving down a hill, you should always check your rearview mirrors for any potential problems. Vehicles may be approaching too quickly, or large trucks may be having trouble braking. If you see a large truck behind you with smoke boiling out from beneath it, pull over and let it pass. The truck has most likely lost its brakes.
As you drive, I want you to tell me what you see around you and what you're doing.
Okay. Well, I'm driving 40 miles per hour, and there's a car behind me with its headlights on.
Is that a Dodge?
That look on Adam's face is appropriate. My dad has the right idea to ask questions while Adam drives. It's called commentary driving. Once your student becomes more comfortable with their driving experience, it's a good idea to help keep them sharp by involving them in commentary driving. But that last question was a bad example. Try to avoid questions that require your student to look away from the road ahead for seconds at a time. However, you should ask simple questions relevant to the current drive.
Sorry, Adam, that was a distracting question. How about if you just tell me what you see in front of us?
We're approaching an intersection controlled by a traffic light. The light's green so I can continue through it. The car directly ahead of me is braking, so I have to slow down. Now he's signaling left to change lanes. Farther ahead of us, there's a police car with its lights on, so I'll have to slow down.
That's right. Always slow down for emergency vehicles and pull over to get out of their way when necessary. What should you be concerned about up ahead?
We are approaching a railroad crossing.
And what should you never do at a railroad crossing?
You should never try to beat out a train, and you should never stop on the tracks.
That's right. That's dangerously stupid. If your car would ever stall on a railroad track, get out and run as far away from the car and towards the train. Then call for help.
Okay, I got it.
Now, what are you going to do about the bicycle ahead?
I've got to slow down and share the road.
Right. In many places, bicycles have the same rights and responsibilities as cars. And some places, they even have bicycle lanes. And other places, you just have to carefully share the road with them.
Adam's probably getting close to entering the expressway. Expressway driving involves speeds of up to 70 miles per hour with heavy and unpredictable traffic. For drivers, this means less time to identify problems ahead and much less steering input needed to maneuver. Let's take an overhead graphical look at merging. First, you enter the entrance ramp. These often include sharp curves that require you to greatly reduce your speed. Located directly after the entrance ramp is the short acceleration lane. This lane allows you time to accelerate to appropriate speeds before merging. At this point, you should signal that you intend to merge onto the expressway. The merge area is directly ahead of the acceleration lane and can be identified by broken white lines replacing solid white lines. You should try to merge onto the expressway at the speed of expressway traffic. Once you find an appropriate gap, merge into the lane. At high speeds, it's important to know that minimal steering input is necessary when changing lanes. Abrupt steering movements may cause total loss of control of your vehicle. Along with parallel parking, merging at such high speeds can be super stressful for new drivers. You have to enter the expressway at high speeds or you'll become a hazard to everyone. It may take time to get comfortable with this, so parents, help your students determine appropriate gaps when merging on the highway the first few times. Following distance is critical on expressways. Because of the high speeds, always try to maintain a following distance of at least 4 seconds. Remember to increase following distance when following large trucks, buses, and motorcycles. Following large trucks and buses too closely blocks your view of the roadway ahead and may put you in their blind spot. When weather conditions worsen. Traveling in rain, sleet, snow, or fog requires a greater following distance because you can't see as far ahead as normal and it takes your car longer to stop. When entering and exiting the expressway, you need to increase following distance to provide a gap for yourself and other drivers. You also never know what's on the other side of the sharp curves of entrance and exit ramps. Do you see a pattern here? As a general rule, increase following distance anytime you're unsure of what's ahead.
Do you see how there are cars driving directly next to you in both surrounding lanes?
Yeah, I see them.
Try not to get yourself boxed in like this. This will prevent you from steering away from any potential problems that might be in your lane ahead of you.
Should I slow down to give myself some more space?
Well, yeah, but just a little bit. You don't want to slow down too much and become a hazard. If you're ready, we'll give passing a try.
Let's do it.
Passing is a very dangerous maneuver, and the high speeds and the large volume of traffic on the expressway doesn't make it any safer. Go ahead and signal and check the traffic around you. Take a quick glance over your shoulder to make sure that the lane is safe for you to move into.
Looks good.
Wait a minute, Adam. The lane next to you may be clear, but there's a vehicle on the far left that has its turn signal on.
So what does that mean?
When two cars want to enter the same lane at the same time, the car on the left has the right-of-way. This applies to merges also. And vehicles exiting the expressway have the right-of-way over vehicles attempting to enter it. Now that the car is passed, check traffic again and smoothly change lanes. Once you get ahead of the vehicle, you must signal and see both of the other vehicle's headlights in your rear view mirror before you move back into your original lane. Make sure you turn off your turn signal because you don't want the drivers behind you to be guessing whether you're going to be changing lanes again.
Passing on a highway can be dangerous, but passing on a 2-lane residential road is even more dangerous. To pass on a 2-lane roadway, make sure you have a broken yellow line and that oncoming traffic is a safe distance away. If you have any doubt whether oncoming traffic is a safe distance away, do not pass. Passing is never worth the risk of a head-on collision. Never attempt to pass on curves, hills, and bridges, or at intersections and railroad crossings. It's simply unsafe. So you know how to pass someone safely. But what about being passed? When you're being passed on an expressway, you can reduce the risk of an accident by changing lane position if the vehicle passing you is too close. By not increasing speed when you're being passed. Speeding up only makes other drivers angry. And by adjusting your speed after you're passed. You want to create that 4-second following distance and re-establish adequate space around your vehicle. Here are a few more things you should watch for on an expressway. Something you should never do on an expressway is cross several lanes at once. You're just asking to cause a major accident if you do that. While passing on the right is illegal on some state roadways, it's legal on most. So always be aware that drivers may be passing you on the right. When on an expressway, you should also be aware that drivers of large trucks have a few large blind spots. These are called no zones. If you are driving close to a truck, you should avoid these zones. Because the driver can't see you, they might unknowingly perform an action that could lead to a serious accident. Remember, if you can't see the mirrors of the truck, the driver can't see you.
Well, just like when you're driving anywhere else, you need to drive defensively on the expressway. You just never know. Whoa!
What? Relax, Dad. I saw the car.
Oh, he just came out of nowhere, Adam. I'm sorry. I guess I overreacted.
There it was, Dad employing the mom brake and clothesline combo. Sometimes things happen so quickly that parents can't avoid a reaction like that. Parents shouldn't make a habit of it, but students shouldn't take it as a criticism either. You never know when bad drivers are about to make a mistake. As long as you are paying attention to the road and vehicles all around you, you will prevent a great deal of accidents potentially caused by these bad drivers.
That car's bumper is smashed.
Put your hand back on the wheel and focus on the road ahead.
Aren't I supposed to be aware of everything around me?
Yes, but you were rubbernecking and you took your eyes off the road. Don't stare at someone else's accident. It's none of your business and it's not safe.
Dad's right about that. Staring at something on the side of the road, like an accident, is extremely dangerous, especially on expressways. When you're traveling 70 miles per hour, you drive over 200 feet in just 2 seconds. A lot can happen in 200 feet. When you look away, you risk veering from your lane. And at such high speeds, it doesn't take much veering to end up colliding with a concrete median or running off the road and into something else. At 70 miles per hour, the force of impact with any object could be deadly. So keep your eyes on the road ahead.
I want you to take the next exit, so move into the right lane. In many cases, the lane you use to exit will be a weave lane. Do you know what I mean by weave lane?
It's used to both enter and exit the expressway, right?
That's right. So the lane you are using to exit the expressway may contain vehicles who are attempting to enter it.
But I'll have the right-of-way.
Well, yes you will, but you still need to watch out for vehicles entering the expressway. You just can't assume that they're going to yield for you. Okay, here we go. Great job, Adam. Just as you did while entering the expressway, you had to slow down considerably on the exit ramp to combat the sharp curves.
Where are we going now?
We're going to go to the park to meet your sister.
How's the lesson going?
It was going well until I had to stop for a picnic with you.
Oh, it was time for a break, Adam. Driving for extended periods of time isn't good for anyone.
Dad's right. Highway hypnosis and falling asleep at the wheel are just as dangerous as driving drunk.
Highway hypnosis?
Highway hypnosis is a drowsy condition that results from concentrating on the road for long periods of time. It causes you to become temporarily hypnotized and lose track of where your vehicle is going. It takes less than a second of dropped concentration to cause a serious crash. The same can happen with falling asleep at the wheel. I've interviewed 2 people about their experiences with drowsy driving.
I stayed up all night before watching movies. It was a fun thing to do then. We'd stay up all night with friends. And
myself and a group of friends who were all about 19 at the time went out camping.
I remember making the right turn, but the 300 yards from that stop sign to where my accident occurred, I don't remember anything of it. So at some point in there, I'd fallen asleep.
On the way back, the guy driving the car that I was in fell asleep at the wheel on the highway.
And ended up waking up to hearing my friend scream my name and glass coming through the windshield.
When he awoke, he was heading towards a pole on the side of the road.
I couldn't get out my door. I was up against a telephone pole. There was a fence post that came through my windshield.
He turned the wheel so far that the car, sort of turned, skidded, and just flipped over.
The fence post had caught her ear, and I saw her bleeding.
I remember waking up, screaming the driver's name, and then I remember sort of flipping over a couple times.
Couldn't get out my side. I had to jump over her, get her out. I had to take my shirt off and wrap my shirt around her head to stop the bleeding. It's the only thing I had.
The next thing I remember was being, upside down inside the car, so I'm laying on the roof of the car.
I called the paramedics. It took them about a half hour to get there, and I just remember just watching the blood soak through my t-shirt as it was wrapped around the girl's head.
Luckily, everyone who was in the car, there were 4 of us, were okay.
My passenger had to have plastic surgery on her ear to repair what the fence post had done to her.
I had, for some period of time, a little bit of fear of being in, the back seat while someone else was driving. I also would not be able to fall asleep in a car anymore.
I was so annoyed with it. I ended up shaving my head after the whole accident was over. I was so annoyed and terrified there was more glass around. It was one of those things I was really, really afraid of.
The driver of the car, tried all those things to stay awake. He, told me later he turned up the music and had rolled down the window.
People tell you to, roll down your window, crank up your music to stay awake if you're tired, but that's only really a temporary thing.
The answer should have been to have somebody else drive, or to, just pull the car over and sleep or something like that, but we wanted to get back. So
the tired feeling will still overcome you in the end, and you will eventually, something could happen, something bad could happen. And so when I'm tired, I either pull off to the road, take a nap, or I just don't drive at all.
To avoid accidents like that, you should plan regular breaks when taking long trips. And if you do become tired, you should pull over to a safe area and rest your eyes. Please don't try to drive if you're knowingly tired. Now, as a brief review, let's go over some guidelines that you should follow when driving on an expressway. You should always try to maintain a following distance of at least 4 seconds so that you can steer and brake out of potential problems. Carefully use minimal steering input. Excessive or abrupt steering can lead to total loss of control of your vehicle. When changing lanes, move only one lane at a time. Moving through multiple lanes in a hurry greatly increases your chance of causing an accident. If it's safe to do so, be courteous and move over a lane in order to allow drivers entering the expressway to merge easily. You want to keep up with the flow of traffic on expressways. If traffic is moving at 70 miles per hour, driving at 50 miles per hour is not safe and could cause serious accidents.
But what about keeping up with traffic that's traveling faster than the speed limit?
I know just the guy to ask.
That question is very easily answered. Should I keep up with the flow of traffic even though they're exceeding the speed limit? Very simple. The answer to that is no. The speed limit is the speed limit. If it's 55 miles an hour, it's 55 miles an hour, not 60. If it's 70, it's 70, not 85. The problem is people will be picked out of a group of cars, they'll be stopped, and they'll be issued a summons for speeding. And of course the response is, why did you pick me? Everybody else I was going with the flow of traffic, everybody else was driving fast. Well, the fact of the matter is we can only stop one car at a time, and it would just happen to be your turn. So no, the speed limit is a speed limit. If it's 55, it's not 56, it's not 57, it's 55 miles an hour.
Well, there you have it. So do either of you have any thoughts about the driving you've done today?
Well, merging is definitely a challenge at first. It's intimidating pulling onto the ramp and seeing those cars go so fast. Not that I didn't pay attention on the residential roads, but driving on the expressway really helped me better understand the importance of managing space. In the end, it's just driving. But you still can't lose focus for even a second, or you're in trouble.
Adam didn't do so bad. As a parent, you want to talk your student through the merge until they're comfortable in doing it on their own. But you've got to practice. And it'll take some time to get used to those high speeds, and I'll try not to use that mom brake anymore, but it might be a little bit difficult.
It sounds like Adam's getting the hang of driving on the expressway, and you will too, as long as you practice on a regular basis. The high speeds of expressways can be a little intimidating at first, but all the rules you've learned throughout still apply.